had just given birth to my son, a moment I should have been overjoyed about, but something felt wrong. I was exhausted, yes, but there was an intense headache that wouldn't go away. It was like the pain was crawling deep into my skull, gnawing at me. The doctors checked me over and sent me home, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The day after giving birth, the headache only worsened and I felt so weak, like my body was failing me. My thoughts kept clouding over, but I decided to go in and get checked. Something inside of me told me I needed to listen to my body, so I went back to the hospital, and that's when everything went downhill fast. The doctors quickly realized that I had bled out more than they initially thought. I was rushed to a room and put on a blood transfusion. I was barely conscious when a nurse came in. Her name was Ann. She looked so pale, almost drained of color, and there was a strange tiredness in her eyes. But what really struck me was how fixated she was with my son. She kept telling me how beautiful he was, how she would love to watch him for me because I didn't have anyone else to help me. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then she started talking about her own kids at home, how my son could play with them, how she would be happy to take care of him. It felt strange, but I was too out of it to argue, too tired to care. I politely declined her offer, but she wouldn't let up. Her persistence was unsettling, and as the hours dragged on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The night grew darker and I tried to sleep, but every time I closed my eyes, I felt an overwhelming weakness, as if I was drifting in and out of consciousness. I couldn't sleep, but also I couldn't shake this strange feeling that I wasn't alone. Then something happened that I'll never forget. I woke up suddenly, the room still and silent, but from the corner of my eye, I saw something move. A glowing figure moving from my son's bed to mine. I was too disoriented to fully comprehend what was going on and what was I seeing, but as it got closer, I realized who it was. Anne. She stood over me, glowing faintly, like something not quite of this world. I will never forget these words that she said. She stood over me and said, "Hey, do you remember me? It's your nurse, Anne." My heart raced and panic surged through me. The bathroom door creaked open. I couldn't see anyone, but the sensation that I was being watched was overwhelming. I pressed the nurse call button as quickly as I could, my fingers trembling, and just like that, she was gone, vanished from my room without a trace. I thought I was losing my mind, but the weirdness didn't stop there. My phone buzzed, a text message from a number I didn't recognize. And how did she even get my number? I was in a daze, still trying to make sense of what had just happened, and then a nurse came in. Noticing my distress, she promised to check with her manager about what had gone on. A short time later, the manager arrived, and to my utter disbelief, she told me that there was no nurse named Anne working that night. But I remember her. Her pale face, her persistent words about my son, and the way she seemed to flow in and out of my room. It didn't make any sense, but I knew what I had seen. I'm not totally sure what had happened, or if this was a near-death experience, or if it was my mind playing tricks on me from the trauma of the situation, but I can't shake the feeling that Anne wasn't just a nurse. There was something about her, something I still can't explain, that makes me wonder if I brushed too close to something beyond this world. To all the incredible women out there, giving birth is one of the most powerful experiences a woman can go through. But it is also important to remember that your health matters just as much after your baby is born. Your body has been through so much, and you deserve the time and care to heal properly. Listen to your body. You know it best. If something feels off, don't ignore it. Trust your instincts even if you're told it's normal. The early days after childbirth can be overwhelming, but your health should always come first. Here are some warning signs that you should be looking out for. Severe headaches that don't go away or feel different than any headache you've ever had. Excessive bleeding or passing large clots that don't stop after the first few days. Sudden chest pain or trouble breathing. Severe swelling in the legs, hands, or face that don't go away. Dizziness, fainting, or feeling overly weak. Now, I am not a doctor by any means, but these are the feelings and some of the symptoms that I felt when I hemorrhaged and nobody took me serious. Honestly speaking, this is something that I would never forget. When I look back at this story, it just kind of makes me feel like, oh my gosh, this was something that really happened, and it could happen to anybody. Most people might ignore the signs, and a good thing is I called my mom and she told me to get up right away and go to the hospital. At this time, I was only 19 and I was living in a maternity home. So we had to ask the staff to take us everywhere and basically to do everything for us. And I wasn't allowed to just get up and go because I had to ask for a ride, because where I lived, there was no transit at all. So it was either asking the staff for a ride or calling the emergency line. And I asked the staff and they told me basically to go take some ibuprofen, and there was nothing wrong with me. So I ended up threatening them and telling them I would call the emergency line. And that's when they wanted to get up and was like, okay, well, let's take you to the hospital. I'm glad I got up and went to the hospital, because if I didn't, it would have been very, very serious. Make sure that you always follow your gut and follow your instinct. Never listen to anybody and what they say. I don't care if it's not nothing serious. Make sure you go get checked out just in case it is something serious. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And y'all already know your girl will be back with another video. Bye.